The lighting might be really bad because it's almost dark. I've used some of my beauty lights that I use to do my makeup sometimes, and it might have worked and it might have not, but I got inspired by a video I watched and I just feel like I have to make a video. I can't wait. I just can't wait. I'm too invested in my thoughts about it. So, the Fairly Local Vegan, and I'll link the video down below, made a video in response to the ex-vegans that have come out. Now, I'm not making this video to make a statement on ex-vegans because the really big influencers that have come out and said that they're eating animal products again, I wasn't following them before. I wasn't emotionally invested in their brand and their advertising, and also I haven't actually seen the apology videos. I've only seen clips of them through other YouTubers I follow and through Twitter and stuff like this, and while I've heard a lot about it on Twitter and I trust a lot of my mutuals, I don't want to just make an opinion based on what's gone through the grapevine. I mean, I find it hard to say that I have absolute compassion for these people because of how important veganism is to me and how wrong I believe eating animal products is. But she does make a very valid point, and I agree with it at least to some level. It's easy for us to sit here and say that you would absolutely, in their situations, not go back to animal products. But the truth is, we're not actually in those situations, and I feel like it's a bit intense to immediately jump down their throats. What I really wanted to talk about, though, was a bit that she said, the Fairly Local Vegan, Amber, said about her life. It's true that there's no such thing as a perfect vegan. The definition of veganism, according to the Vegan Society, is that veganism is a way of living which seeks to exclude as far as possible and you know what I mean, all forms of exploitation of and cruelty to animals for food, clothing or any other purpose. Now, there are some pure vegans that would take it that any suffering towards animals is absolutely not vegan, and I want to really hone in onto the idea of how feasible is it to take that out of your life. I'm going to make something very clear before I continue. I'm not here excusing people that just cannot give up cheese or just cannot give up bacon and just, oh, it's just too hard to change my diet, because the truth is, most people can go vegan. Most people can transition at the very least. And to most people that's just bullshit. That's pretty harsh, but that's the truth. What I mean is stuff like medication, which is tested on animals, because regardless of what you think of animal testing, for you to be able to take a pharmaceutical drug, it has to be animal tested. So if you need drugs to survive, take the fucking drugs, okay? If you need vaccinations, same thing. Vaccinations are vegan, in my opinion, because people need vaccinations. And if you are below the breadline, which is what Amber was talking about, if you live in that kind of situation, eating animal products is vegan. Now, I don't want to hear extreme vegans jumping down my throat, because just hear me out, okay? She was talking about how she'd gone through a really messy divorce from a domestic abuse situation, and she was so poor and she had no money at all, and she would go to soup kitchens and she would eat anything that she could get, and that included animal products. And this is also why I think being able to be vegan is a privilege, but not in the way that non-vegans put it as. It's not that veganism is over expensive, and it's not that it's not accessible to most people, because it is. But being able to have the choice of what you can eat is a privilege. Being able to choose to go to fast food restaurants multiple times a week is a privilege. being able to choose between meat and beans regardless of the cost in that situation is a privilege. If you have any choice over your diet, if you are not in a situation where you have to eat anything you can get to live another day, your food is a privilege. And people don't recognise that. Please don't shame yourself if you are using something that exploits animals that is like this. Amber was vegan during that time. In my opinion, she was vegan when she was living in that awful situation that is truly unimaginably sad. And again, I'm sure that someone has figured out a way where she could have not eaten animal products during that time, but the truth is that person didn't go through that. That is so traumatic. It's so traumatic and it's so upsetting to imagine living like that, to imagine Amber, who I have followed for a while and I really respect as a vegan, and I believe that she would have done everything she could to stay not eating animal products, to point fingers at her and say that in that awful traumatic situation she shouldn't have eaten something that would have saved her and her daughter's life is sick. It's wrong to point fingers at her like that. And the same thing that it's wrong to point fingers at parents that vaccinate their children because those parents are still vegan, the children are still vegan, they can die, or a disabled person that they meet will die. Just talking about second-hand leather as well. I think it's best to avoid this stuff because by wearing it and contributing to the market of it, even though it's a hell of a lot less than buying new leather, I'd still recommend avoiding it if you can. But if you are a poor vegan and your boots have just fallen apart and it's the middle of winter and the second-hand leather ones fit you better than the second-hand vegan ones, get the leather ones. It's important that you're safe. So much more, and second-hand leather doesn't directly harm animals. And I think that the shaming in the vegan community is scary. It's scary to me of how ugly it is. It's super ugly. It is super ableist to point fingers at a disabled person and say your medication that stops you dying or your medication that stops you lying in bed crying in pain every single day makes you a shitty person and you're not a vegan. It's... Anyway, I just felt really compelled to make this video because it was heartbreaking to see Amber say that what she did wasn't vegan because she was in such an awful situation that most people can't even imagine, including me. The idea that her just doing the bare minimum for her and her daughter, literally the bare minimum because she would have died otherwise, the idea that that isn't vegan is wrong. It's just wrong, and I just wanted to make my peace with this because I see these sort of arguments happening on Twitter all the time. So yeah, this is my first video, probably. I've got quite a few that I've like half edited or something isn't working and I need to ask someone a question or something, but I've been wanting to make a YouTube channel for forever because I always have something to say. If you know me in real life, you know that I have an opinion on everything. And I always have something creative to share. You can follow me on Twitter and see me arguing this kind of stuff regularly. Thank you for watching. I'm not going to make a regular upload schedule because I might get very busy very soon. So up until probably the summer, I'm just going to be uploading when I upload. But yeah, thank you so much for watching and listening to me, and I hope that you come back.